Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to be going over why Cal is a worse version of Wisconsin in disguise. So, I'm going to be going over Wisconsin's story for the past, few years. So, to start off the video, Wisconsin offense, run down the middle, run down the middle, run down the middle, run down the middle with great running backs. You got to give them credit. They have great running backs. They usually have great O-lines. They have Jonathan Taylor, Andrew Clement, and Melvin Gordon and James White. They have some great running backs at Wisconsin, but it's just running down the middle, running it down the middle, running it down the middle, running it down the middle. That's every freaking play. I'm telling you, it feels like that sometimes. I'm going to watch a Wisconsin game. And it works against mediocre teams usually. Sometimes it doesn't, like against Illinois, where if your defense did not score that touchdown at the beginning of the third, only 3 points in one half against Illinois. 16 points in the entire game without the defense scoring one of those touchdowns. Illinois is terrible. Even a worse version of you could score 35 points. Like, come on. So basically, we're against great teams. Wisconsin, one of two things happens. A, they play great in the first half. Their running game is really good with the running it down the middle, but they get figured out in the second half against a great team, and they play really bad and they lose the game or they barely win. Or two, they play terrible the entire game. It's one of those two usually. Sometimes they play great in the second half, but it's more often than not. It's one of those two. And the same could be said with the Big Ten championship game. In 2017. Wisconsin's offense in the first half, I think in their second and third drive, 55 yards, they're at the Ohio State 20, pickoff. It was a terrible throw. Then 44 yards, and I think they had a 30-yard drive. And their only points at half was a pickoff, and then they was a pickoff for touchdowns or pick six, and then a field goal. Their offense played great in that half, but they made a lot of mistakes, and they didn't take advantage of their opportunities. In the second half, they had one touchdown drive, which was, and they had like one field goal. But besides that, I think their other 3 or 4 drives were terrible. They were really bad. Most of the drives in the first half were great. But without that pick six, 14 points. Is that going to win you a Big Ten championship? No. Against Penn State, they're up like 28-3 at halftime, 31-3 in the third quarter. No offense the rest of the game. Like, literally none. None. I watched that game. None. There was no offense the rest of the game. So Penn State figured them out. And they won 38-31. And now we're going to go over Cal Berkeley's story in 2019. In 2018, their offense was awful. Their defense was really elite. I think that their defense in 18 was a lot better than in 19. And by the way, Wisconsin's defense is championship winning if they have the right offense. So with Cal Berkeley in 2018, I'll just tell you, their offense was terrible. I went to Southern Cal versus Cal. I was versus the Golden Bears. I was cheering on Southern Cal. Their offense is horrible. And I watched Washington versus Cal in the Cheez-It Bowl. What was I watching? I was watching middle school football with a NFL defense. Like, what was I watching? And against Colorado, their defense scored 3 touchdowns. And against UCLA, 3 points in 2018 against a mediocre team, which Southern Cal lost to. I was pissed about that. I just don't get it. But then in 2019, I think with Chase Garbers as quarterback, Wisconsin's only a few times better than them on the offensive side of the ball. But with Devin Modester, we're not going to mention those games, and with Branch, they are terrible. Their offense was like middle school again. Like, I think they lost like 17-7 versus Oregon. I'm like, is you guys just going to just score a damn point? But I'm just going to go over to Chase Garbers games, and I'll tell you why they're mini Wisconsin. With Chase Garbers as quarterback, with Devin Modester, they're indescribable. They're terrible. So I'm going to go to the Cal schedule right now. Sorry I'm doing this live, but I just wasn't prepared to make this video. I just thought this was a great idea just a minute ago for this. So basically, this is the breakdown of Cal's football games. I just analyzed most of them with Chase Garbers in as quarterback. With most of the games, since their offense is pretty terrible with even Garbers in, it isn't that great. and the running game isn't great either. Sometimes, you're just waiting for the flip to switch. Sometimes it didn't even come on. Like against Arizona State, that entire game the offense didn't come on. I think they're set up with really good field position on one of the drives, and Modester came in the late third quarter, and they played terrible the rest of the game. But sometimes it switches on either really late, sometimes it switches on really early, then it just shuts off the rest of the game. Like against North Texas, 20 points in the first quarter. Oh, only 3 points rest of the game. Against North Texas, an air raid offense team. That's a team where you should score 40-plus points on, especially when they only score 17. And then against Washington, offense is pitiful till the fourth quarter, 14 points. I think they only scored like 6 points until the fourth quarter, 14 points. And then against Ole Miss, 17 points in the third quarter. The rest of the fourth quarter, they let Ole Miss, they opened the door. They didn't do anything. And against Stanford, 17-10 going in the fourth. We score 14 points and we win the game. 14 points, final 8 minutes. You're just waiting for the switch. And with Wisconsin, there is no switch because they're playing they're going to play terrible in the second half against a great team. That's basically it for the video. That's my little rant on Cal and Wisconsin. Hope you college football fans enjoy this.